What's going on, people? We about to crank it up here in just a minute.
It's about that time, baby, baby. Oh, yeah. Here we go, here we go.
The Sinclair Show is on.
It is on.
Run it to your friends, come on.
Come on, come on.
This is a moment of the show tonight. Mailbag is tight. Sinclair is on the mic.
Once again, it's on. You're still troubled in your home. Got you tripping, don't know right from wrong. Send your letters to the show so we can talk you through. Get the answers to your questions because we speak that truth. Sometimes you doubt yourself, lost your health. Faith is on the fence, but you believe that Jesus knows your wealth. Keep it moving, spirit flowing because we're here to provide someone to lean on when you're falling. Wednesday, 8 and 9, and it's on.
Once again, it's on. You are listening to the only morning show at night, people. It's the Sinclair Show on WBISLP, Awesome Radio 106.9, the hottest station in what? The Carolinas, people. Okay, first of all, let me just go ahead and say this. It's going to be a lively show tonight. And how do I know that? Because obviously, most of you all know we are going to be talking about what went on at the Oscars. Okay. Now, I have gotten a lot of messages and mailbag comments and things of that nature. And it's peculiar to me how we as individuals feel about things like what occurred at the Oscars. So first of all, before I get any deeper in anything else, I want to thank all of you all who continue to send your mailbag questions and comments to Sinclair Talk at Outlook.com. Of course, you can catch the show on YouTube you can catch us on Facebook, you can catch us on Twitch. If you're in the North Carolina, Greenville area, you can catch us on GPAC TV 23 and several radio stations. All right. So tonight is going to be a long one. So let me do this. Everybody who's on right now that I can see, I'm going to give you a shout out. Let me see who's out here right now. I see my mama. Hey, mama, what's going on with you? Yeah, I see she's watching. Gwendolyn, Lady Elegance Pritchard, glad to see you, of course. Annie Moore, of course, we're glad to see you. It appears that April Brown is up here. She got a whole bunch of comments. We'll come back to those. Oh, we got Brother Rollins up here. Glad to see you. Cassandra Key, what's going on with the Legal Beagle? Detective Pamela Black, glad to see you, of course. And we got Mimi, what's going on? Glad to see you. Let me see if there's anybody. Okay, there go James Key, what's going on with you? And as people begin to pop in, look here, we will give them their shouts out. I'm not even going to waste a lot of time because obviously the initial question is, what do you think about the Will Smith Oscar slap? All right. Now, I'm going to say this because some of y'all are out there already coming with your ideas. So, as the host of the show, I'm going to give you my initial opinion of question number one. Okay. And we're going to begin with this. The question is, was Will Smith defending Jada when he went up there and slapped Chris Rock? All right. That's the question. Was Will Smith, Camille Shepard, glad to see you, defending Jada? And I can tell you that about 90% of the women who sent messages to the Sinclair show were clapping. Yay, Will. He stood up for his woman. About 50% of the men who replied said they believe Will was defending Jada. But let me tell you all my view, and then I'm gonna post up if you out here, because I see, matter of fact, here's how we're gonna roll with this. First of all, as a counselor, as a man, I don't believe Will was defending Jada at all. Now, in truth, I don't believe Jada deserves defending in the first place, but I'll get to that down the road in tonight's segment. But I don't believe that Will was defending Jada because I don't believe that Will himself was offended by the joke. Okay. And I don't believe that we got a bunch of people. Mimi said no. Mr. Rollins said no. James said no. Gwendolyn said no. I like y'all. Cassandra says she agree. Kiki Matthews, glad that you are on with us tonight. Cassandra said the slap, in my opinion, was about something else. Mr. Rollins said facts. So let me tell y'all what I, as a counselor who observed it and went back and watched it more than 20 times since the occurrence. Will did not find the joke offensive because the joke was not offensive. It wasn't offensive if he was making a joke about her having no hair. Okay. And the few statements that have been put out by Chris Rock's camp was that he had no idea that Jada suffered from anything called alopecia. Let me say this. Okay. The assessment for any of you that's saying that that he deserved to be slapped or that she deserved to be defended, if you will, is the assumption that Chris Rock knew that she had a medical condition. I submit to you, Jada ain't that important to anybody other than Will and her kids, or some of you, that who looks up what somebody's medical issues are. And people, I know you're going to say, well, she went out there and she just had a show a month or two ago. Who watches the show? If you're not a fan of Jada, you're not following her like that. The only time, to be honest with you, any of us know what Jada is talking about is when she's on TV embarrassing the hell out of Will. By talking about what men she sleeps with, by talking about how insignificant he is in their bedroom and all these other things. That's the only time we pay attention to her. She's not that great of an actress. I'm just keeping it real. And what I believe is that what Will did was Will laughed at the joke like everybody else did. And then what took place was when he looked at her, she gave him that look. And I'm going to tell you what I have no facts to back this up. This is just a educated opinion of a counselor, but I could be wrong. But what I believe occurred was over the years, certainly over the last 2 years, when we've been in this pandemic and Jada has been on the red table and any other place she could go to express herself and justify her actions and all of the things. And I'm not defending Will because I don't know what Will has done, but I'm talking about what I know she did because she put it out there. And I believe that at some time in the privacy of their home, Will has asked her over and over again, what made you choose to go out here and sleep with this type of dude? You out here laying up in my house, in my bed, letting the dude drive my car. You going over here, you're telling people how much you love Tupac. You like dudes with an edginess about them. And I believe that when she has expressed to Will that something about that type of dude, a type of dude that lives on the edge, a type of dude that's willing to put it all on the line that I'm attracted to. I believe when Will looked in her face and saw that she was upset, she wasn't hurt. You don't roll your eyes when you hurt, you roll your eyes when you angry. And I believe that when he saw that in that moment he clicked and said, you know what? You like this type of dude. Taya Matthews, glad to see you. Mr. Rollins said facts. I believe that when Will saw that expression on her face, it was the same look he had seen in her living room when she was telling him what them other dudes that she done laid up with, what they do that he don't do. You're too nice of a guy. And I believe he determined in that moment, I will walk up here, I'm going to show you. Not because he believed that the joke was distasteful, not because he was defending her, but because she gave him that look. And that was the same look he saw in his own house when she was defending the fact that she likes other men, different types of men than what he is by nature. And then he goes up there in the weakest of see, and let me say this for all of y'all who are talking about, oh, Will was gangster with that. No, he wasn't. As a matter of fact, Will didn't display any signs. Jay Dizzle, what's up, my brother? Okay, let me say this. Will ain't gangster because Will didn't display any signs as he walked up there that he was ready for some business. And Chris Rock had his hands behind his back doing his monologue. And he even leaned forward as if he was expecting Will to say something to him in his ear. Will didn't run up there like he was in a state of rage. Rollins said he knew Chris Rock wasn't going to do anything. Right, he ain't no gangster. But understand something. Will, even though he walked directly up there to Chris Rock, he did it in an undercover manner because he walked up there not like he had a problem. If you and I got a problem with somebody and we getting ready to do something, okay, and you done made me mad and I'm in a state of rage, all that stuff he talked when he got back to the seat. Chanelli Rawls said Will was wrong. Absolutely. What up, Rod Jake? Hey, let me tell y'all something. And I'm keeping this 100 with y'all. Think about the actions. Think about a normal person. Think about when you or I have ever gotten mad about something. The moment that we got mad, okay? We begin to express ourselves verbally on the way to doing something. Okay? Will walked up there as if he was going to say something to him. Rod Jake, what's going on, my brother? And when Will walked up there like a sucker, like he was in clandestine mode, people say, well, what did he think he was going to do? First of all, never had it been done before, and he wasn't acting like he was super mad, so he walked up there. He didn't know what he was going to do. And he leaned forward with his hands behind his back in a non-defensive manner to allow him to talk in his ear, if that's what he was going to do. Will turns around and slaps him and then proceeds. Rollins said the slap was misplaced. Should have smacked Alcina. Should have, but he couldn't. Okay? Understand where I'm coming from. All this about Will was tough. Will wasn't tough. Will did a sucker move. He did it on national TV. Look, if I really want to put hands on you in a real manner, I'm going to wait till you get backstage. I'm going to corner you in the dressing room. Okay? See, let's look at what April was talking about. Will did exactly what he was supposed to do. He's a husband that saw his wife in pain because someone decided to make a joke in regards to her medical condition. He reacted out of love for her. Oscars, elite crowd, celebrity status, whatever. Her husband first. As far as the entanglement, they both have had past. Their business, what goes on in the privacy of the marriage, that's their business. What happened? Listen to what April is saying. Listen to the ignorance that April is saying. She's saying exactly what we would expect. You saying, again, you assume Chris Rock knew about her medical condition because you knew, or maybe you found out when everybody else did. He didn't react out of love for her. If he was reacting out of love for her, he would not have been laughing. And you said as far as the entanglement they both have had in the past, that's their business. No, it ain't, April. It ain't they past. You know why? Because who brought it out to the public? She brought it out to the public for likes and clicks. Okay? She brought it out on the red table. You're defending it because she's a woman. You're defending it because you know she's got some alleged condition. You're defending it because of all of these things that you personally feel inside. But don't change this to say he did it because he loved her. If you're going to fight somebody because you love them, you're going to go fight the dude that's laid up in your bed with your chick. You're going to go fight the dude that's driving your cars that she let him. If you're going to fight somebody, that's the dude you're going to fight. You ain't going to fight the dude that made a joke about her having short hair. Come on now. And look at what we're saying. You trying to find a way to justify it and then to say whatever happens in somebody's home is that until you yourself give it to the public. Let's be clear. One might even assess Jada wasn't doing anything career-wise. She started the red table so she could talk about her own business and the stuff that goes on in her family. And to do what? The same thing she's been doing for years. Embarrass Will at all costs. Mimi said that's a sucker move for sure. And he said Chris didn't know of her condition. Absolutely he didn't. Rollins said Will Smith knows who to and not to slap. Absolutely. See, and I'm amazed that you all have this thing about defending Jada, those of you who are defending her. Okay? Jay Dizzle said, the question I have is this. Why is the public arbitrarily linking the entanglement with what happened on Oscar night? You want me to tell you why, Jay Dizzle? I'll give you the answer to that. Because much of the public was disgusted about the fact that you went out there and embarrassed your husband and put all this information out there. So when you ask the public about why they feel and why they attach the two, they're attaching them for the simple fact that they don't believe she deserves to be defended because you defend a victim. She's not a victim. And she lost victim status each time she got on the air and bragged about who she was sleeping with. She lost victim status every time she got up there in her little girl groups when she was talking to Gwyneth Paltrow and she was saying that Will didn't know how to take care of things in the bedroom and how she felt about that. She lost victim status then. So you don't get to be a victim now in our eyes on a joke about you having short hair. Because most of us didn't even know the reason why. It's not uncommon to see women who have short hair. So we don't think of that as a negative. James said, because she made it public. That's right, James. Rollins said, entanglement is one of the straws on the camel's back. Absolutely it is. And what we're not going to do is we're not going to allow those of you, if you just want to come down on the side and say that, you know, hey, I feel this way because this, and that, no problem. Okay. Here's another question. For those of you who say he was defending her, okay, then if Will Smith was laughing at first, did he really find the joke offensive? Camille Shepard said, we don't know what Chris knew. Alopecia is real and not an alleged condition. Well, Camille, listen to me. When I say alleged, often in this sector, when you are in the public view and when you have podcasts and shows that are on TV, you use phrases like alleged because truthfully, all we go off is what people tell us. So when I use the phrase alleged, I'm not talking about whether or not alopecia is an alleged condition. I'm saying it's alleged that she has it. I don't know. I know that's what has been reported. But when I say I don't know and somebody else doesn't know, we don't know. If she says she has it, great. I'm taking her for a word. But to be politically correct, I used the phrase alleged. Ty said, I didn't think the joke was in poor taste. Jada said herself that she was embarrassed about her alopecia, so I don't understand why she would be upset. Not to mention Demi Moore looked good in G.I. Jane. Absolutely, Demi did. Rollins said Will Smith should have defended his wife, but much, much differently, especially in this professional setting. Hey, I agree. But again, Rollins, let's take it from this point. Will was caught in the moment of something that wasn't defending Jada, because you only defend a person when you believe that something is done negative to them. He was laughing at the joke, so he did not find it to be to rise to the level of having to defend it. Johnny said, no, we must stick with the fact of the matter. They said it was addressing the alopecia condition and nothing more. The public and media added the open marriage and entanglement issue. No, Johnny, we don't have to do that. You may elect to do it. We can, it's just like anything else. Somebody can be a serial killer and still have feelings, yes. But the public is not under any mandate to give you sympathy for something. Listen, if we believe Jada to be an extra sensitive person, okay. Rollins says, speak the truth, Taya. Let me see what else we got here. Annie Moore said, Jada don't love Will like he loves her to put up with his mess. Absolutely. Rollins said, true, but when married, you have to consider spouse's feelings. I am all in agreement with that. My problem is this. We cannot hold the public more accountable than we do Jada and Will. Okay? Let's be clear about something. I have no problem with him defending her. I have a problem with you all believing that she's that sensitive. Because if you're that sensitive, no way in the world are you on the every 60 days, you're on a show bringing out information that should be private in your life to the public for clicks and likes. James just came up with something. He said he wasn't protecting Jada. He was protecting his relevance to Jada. Now, I concur with that, James. What's going on, Yvonne Rouse? Glad to see you. I concur with James 100%. And that is what it was. Remember, I told you, I believe, I have no proof of this, but I believe that the conversations that they have had in their home, remember, when she did the red table and she went on to expose all of the things, the details, and who she was messing with, and next thing you know, the dude she was sleeping with is making rap songs and songs about it. Will, what did he do in that moment? Immediately after that, okay, Gwendolyn, Lady Excellent Pritchard said Jada from Baltimore, so there's no way she would be that sensitive. There's probably some sensitive folks in Baltimore. Essie Shepherd, glad to see you tonight. Johnny said he's agreeing with that. I'm assuming he's talking about what James said. Absolutely. Fellas can agree with what James said. See, understand something. When the stuff first came out, Will has been under an enormous amount of mental pressure. Because as a man, think about it. Soon as the pandemic came in and Jada goes on this thing where she wants to, on her show that she created, she wants to go up there and talk about sleeping with somebody in his bed, letting him drive his cars, and how she felt about this dude and all the other people that she loved, and how she didn't even really want to get married to Will in the first place. When all of these things came up, what did Will Smith do? Immediately within days, he chartered him a yacht and he spent about 3 months in the Mediterranean because he wanted to get away, because the man couldn't walk outside and hold his head up. And you're talking about the defense of something. And I'm not, to be honest with you, I'm not even knocking Jada for her indiscretions, because I shouldn't know nothing about Jada's indiscretions. But why do we know? Because you put it out there. And if you want all your business in the streets like that, okay? Chanel said Jada has stripped Will of all his manhood. Yes, she has. We that have, as Johnny say, connected the dots. The reason why we don't believe that she needed defending, because one, she wasn't crying. She was rolling her eyes. She was mad, okay? And she was mad because she was the brunt of a joke. But she didn't mind Will Smith for the last 2 years being the brunt of every joke she's put out there. Okay, let's keep it 100 now. And let me say this to go a bit further. That her indiscretions, had they remained between her and Will, we might all be thinking differently. But you can't force the public to erase what they know about you as a person or what they believe about you as a human being when you gave us all that we know. Okay? That's 100 right there. And I'll say this. All right, Jake said, we have become a society of telling everything and tell their truth. Hey, Rod is absolutely correct. And see, that's the piece that bothers me about this. James said the man ain't got no self-esteem. Absolutely right. And let me say this. Let me say this to you all. In my lifetime, like most men, probably most of those that's on the show might agree, we've experienced some situations where we lost our mind by being disrespected. And ain't no doubt. Man, I done been at a point in my life where I done had pistols in the car and I was going to do somebody in. This was in my former life before I got a little closer walk with God, you know. But I done been to the edge before. Okay. Chanel said Jada is no damsel in distress. That she ain't. I have been to the edge before. Many men up here right now have been to the edge before. Many women done been to the edge before. When you have been with somebody who is out there in them streets and you feel like, you know what, I'm afraid to even walk out the door because everybody laughing at me. In my earlier years, I done been to that point. And to be honest with you, when I was getting ready to go and do somebody in, I wasn't going to do them in because of any infraction between them and whoever that other person was. I was going to do them in because you disrespected me. Okay? So let's not skip past and act like just because you're in the limelight that you don't have the same emotions. She has removed every bit of masculinity that Will ever had. And she did it in the public eye because she's mean-spirited. I believe she resents Will. She resents his success. And while she may open up to you all in the public and make you all with some sad story over the years, okay? She may do that. But I say this to you. Dr. Beverly Key, glad to see you. But I say this to you, and I want you all to process this. When you exist in a space where the person you are with despises you, or that individual looks at your success as a shortfall to them, okay? They do stuff like publicly humiliate you, do things. Look, let me tell you something about, and to all my Anglo-Saxon brothers and sisters, I'm gonna have to speak from a different perspective right now. Chanel said, I've seen posts and spoken with ladies who truly suffer from alopecia and they found the joke funny. Okay, and let me say this. Corey Parks, what's going on, brother? Vicky Lee, glad to see you. Let me tell you what I believe to be true. It is possible that Jada is going through just as many mental issues as Will has right now. Okay? That's possible. Because when you've got resentment, and let's be clear, some of the things that people with an enormous amount of wealth find themselves doing makes no sense. You lose these barriers with reality because regular folks' reality is not yours. But I dare any of you to consider the fact, look at how she attempted to reward Will when he went up there on that stage, slapped Chris Rock, put his career and everything else on the line. Then when he came back and sat down after making an absolute fool of himself, she wanted to grab his hand and treated him like she adored him in that moment. Not because he went up there to defend her, because she knew she could pull enough strings to make him act a fool in public, to make him come out of character in public. That's my opinion. Yes, he could have. Rollins said he could have defended Jada, just didn't need to slap Chris. Absolutely. Matter of fact, let me say this. All of the keep my wife's name out your mouth, or however he put it. Andy Moore said Will has been through a lot with Jada, but he chooses to hang in there with his wife. All right, whatever. You ain't trying to give up $100 million of your 300. Maybe that's the reason. Who knows? I don't know. And again, for those of you who are on Team Jada, I am not saying that Will hasn't done anything. So I do not want you guys to believe that that's what's going on. Let me see what Dr. Beverly Key said at the end of the day, and it doesn't make it right, but Will is a product of Philadelphia. At the end of the day, you can't always be laughing stock of the joke. Yes, she got him on that one. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Taya says facts. Chanel says some women getting on this bandwagon that Will should have defended Jada are saying it based on their own broken homes. We tear down the black man, but in turn want them to save them. Pick a side. Hey, call it like it is. James said it really didn't have a lot to do with Chris. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Chris Rock was the person on the end of an internal family situation. And Will did that not in defense of her, but in defiance of her. He wanted to show her them same dudes that you sit in private and brag to me about. That's why you sleep with them. I can be just as raw as them. That's not in defense of, that's to prove a point to. Keep it 100. And unfortunately, what you don't think of in that public moment that you're trying to prove a point to somebody that don't love you, you put you at risk. You ain't put Jada at risk, because let's be clear. People that like Jada still like Jada. They're going to find her to be the victim. People that don't like Jada for all that she has done and put out to the public, they think that she was the puppet master behind it. But there's no action that the public is going to take against her. You know what? Dudes are still sleep with her. Women are still defend her. But look at Will. Had nothing to do with Chris, and Chris handled it like a boss. Absolutely. We're going to get to Chris in a minute. And so I'm saying these things because I want you guys to be under the clear thinking that for whatever reasons that, and let me say this. I went back myself, so I didn't have to take anybody's word for it. I found interviews. One of them, Will Smith was on the Arsenio Hall show, so that's tell you how that's dated. But he was up there making jokes about a dude who was in, I guess, the little band that they had up there, who was bald-headed. And he was making jokes about somebody bald-headed. Okay? You can watch that for yourself. You can pull it up for yourself. Right, Jada gonna do what Jada want to do. Absolutely. Now, I have watched just today alone, probably 40 minutes worth of videos of things coming directly. Jada hasn't even thanked Will for coming to her aid. Anyone notice that? Yeah, she definitely didn't do it publicly. And she didn't do it publicly because, again, it wasn't about that. She wasn't offended. She wanted to see if she could push Will, and he wanted to prove a point. And those 40 minutes worth of videos of Jada, because I know some of you all will say, oh, well, I don't believe she said this. I don't believe she said that. You can go to YouTube and find clips from Pierce Morgan, Oprah Winfrey, The Red Table, at least 3 other well-known interviews that she did, or her own personal shows, where everything she's talking about in these shows begrudges or belittles Will. She even told a story about some event, I don't remember if it was a birthday or not, where Will had gone all out for her. He did everything he think that she might like. And she didn't even want to go in the same space where it was because she said it was about him, called him narcissistic. And what that tells you is, it tells you that it's so much about her. And I believe, let me say this, in defense of Jada, I believe she feels that way because she is so angry about the difference in the level of achievement in her own home. And I believe that she feels like anything I can do to minimize him publicly or privately, that's what I'm going to do. Kendrick Clark, what's going on? He said, we as a people need to know the true meaning of a narcissist. Jada is definition of the word. Kendrick, you are absolutely right. Keep it 100, my brother. Chanel said she made a post. It's time for healing and she's here for it. That's all she said. Come on, red table lady. Absolutely. You know what? Think about it. She talking about healing. Healing from what? What is she healing from? And again, to all of you who are in support of of Jada. I am not telling you not to support her because you're going to feel and believe whatever you feel and believe. All right. Robin Williams, what's going on? I want you to consider you cannot take a piece of something and erase everything else. Okay. Ladies, I would ask you. Ty said, Will has been on fire career-wise for a long time, and Jada should be proud to be the one he loves. But she's not. Let me tell you something. Money and success of somebody that you with can make anger an addiction to you. When she goes out, you think she doesn't hate the fact that somebody, see, consider this. If she originally loved Will because of Will and wanted to be with Will because of Will, then none of this stuff would we be talking about right now. But because out of her own mouth, she says she never wanted to marry Will. When you start off in that space and it's just for show and go, and you accept that, you're not going to respond the way a traditional person with love for somebody would. Okay? It's impossible. She can't feel for Will what he feels for her because she never felt for Will what he felt for her. And I know that might go over some of y'all heads. You'll pick it up later on. And that's the thing. Chanel said Jada stated several times that being married to Will is not what she signed up for, and yet she never left him in a year. First of all, listen to me, people. Rollins said, fellas, there's a jealous Jada in this town. Oh, he done went old school with it. Think about it, people. You're not inclined. No amount of money can make a person love you. It can make a person stay for security purposes. Because let's be clear. For those of you going to say, oh, Jada make her own money. Listen to me. Jada makes enough money. And be clear. Most of the roles that Jada have gotten in the last few years, she got them because she was Will's wife. Don't get that twisted. Okay? She got them because of the businesses that he's created and the cachet around the community that he has. Because what nobody just thinking to themselves, who should I cast for this leading role? Oh, let me go get Jada. What nobody thinking about that? Will made phone calls. He made deals. Don't get that twisted. And he said, I hope he hasn't ruined his chance of being invited. Oh, you can best believe the Oscars are doing an investigation right now. And I'm glad you brought that up, Annie. Here's the reason why. The Oscars have to do something. He ain't coming back no time soon, and he shouldn't be allowed to. Why? Because look at the precedence that was set. Now, even though Chris Rock has stated through his people that he has no intention on suing Will, he could sue the Oscars and Will. They didn't provide any level of security. And even after he was assaulted by Will, they allowed him to go back and sit down and still be in the same space. Let that have been 50 Cent. Let that have been The Game. Let that have been somebody that you view as being aggressive. Johnny says she's comfortable in the security of what he provides in certain circles. No doubt. Rollins said, should they take his Oscar? Nope, I don't believe they should take his Oscar. I believe he earned the Oscar for the body of work that he did. Yvonne said he was asked to leave Sunday night, but he refused. Let me tell you something, Yvonne. If that had been you or I or anybody else, they wouldn't have asked him to leave. You don't refuse security. Come on now, we ain't buying that. That's what somebody's putting out trying to cover the Oscars. If the Oscars could have had him leave just like they could have had anybody else leave. And so when I'm saying these things to you, okay, My boy Rod Jake said, when you are successful at something, whoever you are in a partnership must be in your corner. Absolutely. But everybody is not in everybody's corner. And it should be that two people can be in a relationship and be successful in their own rights. But in this case, and in many other cases, that's not what's happening. She resents the fact. I bet you everywhere she go, all they ask her is, hey, how Will doing? What's going on with Will? And so think about it. You feel this way. You resent being asked about Will. You say and do everything you can to publicly slight him and to diminish him in public. And it doesn't work. And that makes you, oh my goodness, that's got to burn you up. Ty said, if they really wanted him out the building, they would have removed him by any means. Absolutely. But see, let me tell you all where this began to matriculate to the next level. It wasn't on Monday. It started yesterday, okay? It started yesterday when white America began to say, yeah, all the hee hee ha ha, the jokes is over with now. And what he did was assault this man. And they began to go back and look at it, and they was like, well, Chris probably didn't know because I didn't know. And they hang in these circles because more and more people you have seen being interviewed. And Jim Carrey, he was on man, whose show was he on? Somebody remind me of what show he was on yesterday. James said they said today that they didn't ask him to leave because he was stated to win an Oscar. They didn't want the backlash of taking him and put what he had taken, plus it would have taken 20 minutes. Okay, cool. Chanel said they are toxic and yet people want to pattern themselves behind their foolishness. All right, I'm rocking with that. So Jim Carrey is interviewed. It might have been with Gail or somebody, whoever it was. And what he said was he was offended and to some degree disgusted that Will Smith wasn't arrested. He said if it had been him, that he would have sued already for $200 million. And he talked about the culture that we exist in. I saw another interview where a famous person said that if Will Smith had been anybody else, they would not have given him the benefit of the doubt. He would himself would have received a significant backlash already. But because it was Will Smith, and we have had over the years an affinity for him, we gave this dude a pass. You all gave him a pass on the night that it occurred. Yvonne said, yeah, it was Jim Carrey on the Today Show. Absolutely. And when you gave him a pass, Jada thought you was giving her a pass too. Why? Because people like April and others is out here writing these extended things saying how they support what he did. But why would you support it? And women, let me ask you a question. Rod said the whole family dynamics is not normal. Hey, now I'll toast to that. But let me ask you all a question. Because I've heard a lot of women say, that's a real man. And I've heard a lot of women say or imply that if a man didn't do this, then that means he didn't love them or he wasn't about them or whatever. Let's begin with this conversation. Why is the only time that a black man can get credit for being supportive of a black woman is if he's willing to act a fool or risk it all? Johnny said those Caucasian personnel who were shook and were not prepared for the situation of that magnitude, a Hollywood power player in a tirade moment in real time. No, they weren't prepared for it. But I'm asking this of you all of you ladies who are up here talking about, yeah, he did the right thing. He was defending him. I'm reading your stuff out. So now I'm going to give you a platform. You tell me, why is it that a black man has to put his career, his life, his freedom, his money, and everything else on the line to prove to you that he's in defense of you? Letitia Anderson, glad to see you up here. It says both have said that divorce isn't an option for them. They chose to stay in a toxic relationship. Sunday night should have been an eye-opener for him. Sometimes the ones you love the most can be your downfall. Hey, sister, tell it like it is. But I want you all to say it out loud to yourselves, women. If you are one of those women who have said in the last 72 hours that, yeah, that's what a real man does, why would a real black man or white man or any other type of man have to risk everything to prove to you? Truth be told, anybody who's been to a comedy show, if you sitting up in that front row, I don't care who you are, you know that the comics gonna talk about you. Let's call it what it is. And it wasn't like he singled Jada out. What did he do? He was going down the line as his eyes could go. Was he supposed to skip over Jada because she was better than the rest of the people in there? No, he didn't even say nothing that was out of pocket. It only seems out of pocket to you women who knew what alopecia was and knew that she had the condition. And if you're going to take Jada's word for having it, then you ought to take Chris Rock's word that he didn't know she had it. I'm pretty sure she ain't on his fave 5 list of let me dial you up and find out about your personal life. And I'm asking you women right now, if he did not know that she had the condition, then was the joke bad? We got more Negro males incarcerated in the cemetery, out of jobs, because they went off the edge trying to prove to some woman that they was tough. Chanel said the takeaway is, for the first time in Oscar history, it was produced by blacks. HBCUs were recognized, and it was all supposed to be special. Now all that talk is about a black man laying hands on another over a wife who drags her husband every chance she gets. Now say that out loud and make it make sense. Chanel, you done made these jokers out here talk about the candy man before they could say that 3 times. Rollins said, what? The joke was not bad enough to be slapped. And I'm asking you all, how many of you up here have been to a comedy show? I have. And at the comedy show, and if you haven't been, you've watched them on TV. And anybody within the eyesight of the comedian is fruit for the trees on them. And we laugh at it. And if Will didn't get up and go make a fool out of himself, we'd have kept it moving and never even paid any attention to it. The folks that didn't know her business, that she had alopecia, now know that she has it. And I've not seen any of you women who was up here talking about go where you was a man because you went up there and made a fool out of yourself. I've not seen any of you explain to me, and I've asked the question. I'll give you time if you want to explain it. I've not seen any of you explain to me, why is that the only standard for a black man is that if he risked everything that he's ever worked for to show you something? Because I didn't see you risking a thing when you was out there tearing him down. Nobody has torn Will Smith down greater than Jada Smith. Ty said, if the comics, you are fair game. Absolutely. Say, I heard everyone is up for grabs. Absolutely. And you expect that. But I don't, where's April? April put all that stuff out there first. I don't hear you saying nothing. You crickets right now. I want you to tell me, why does a black man have to risk it all to get respect, to be considered a man's man? Let me put it a different way too. If Jada was a real woman, if she was really about her man, when she saw Will get up out that chair, she should have grabbed his sleeve. Dude, don't you dare make no fool out of me right now. Sit yourself down. It should have been enough, if that's what she needed to make her feel good, it should have been enough that he stood up. Rod Jake said a woman can be a man's greatest weakness and undoing. It's possible. And again, and I'm not talking about all women, because there are some women out here who are ride or dies for their man. It is certainly women out here who strong for their man. You better not say nothing about their man. If that man get into a fight, they right there with him. They'll pull a pistol on you about they dude. No doubt that there's some ride or dies out there. But for those who have made all this commotion about and want to uplift Will right now, you want to uplift this man right now because he done put it all on the line. He done put $20 million a movie on the line for her. Where was the real woman that grabs him by the sleeve and said, hey, yo, Will, you know how I feel about being embarrassed. James said he could have yelled that out without getting up. Absolutely, he could have. And it would have been just as impactful. If he had said what he said when he got back to his seat, it would have been just as impactful. But now they're comparing the Oscar to the Source Awards. And for those of my Anglo-Saxon and people who are outside of the country who follow the show, let me tell you what that means. The Source Awards, they expect that to be some hood activity or some activity where blacks get in there and act the absolute fool, be fighting and shooting. So when they comparing it, when you hear them use that phrase, it's not a good thing. It ain't a badge of honor. And I'm saying this to you all because as a culture, this is what we've derived to. We have a support of foolishness and ignorance because it gives us some kind of esteem. I didn't see y'all stand up when y'all heard the man got the award, but you raising up that's a real man because he went up there and slapped somebody that didn't need to be slapped. And if Chris Rock had a pistol and been waiting for him afterwards and put a cap in him, y'all would have said, oh, it shouldn't have gone that far. It shouldn't have went that far for you to walk up there in the first place. I commend Chris Rock because Chris Rock understood the magnitude of the moment. Because don't think he was scared of Will. He understood who he is and where he was. But y'all ain't giving him no props. You want to tear him down. Somebody said, Chanel said he could have just waited until after the show again, especially since he was laughing his butt off when the joke was told. Right. I began with that. He was not offended because he didn't find it to be distasteful. But I only got a few more minutes, so let me say this. I'm going to take y'all real quickly back through history. Historically speaking, when blacks was over here as slaves, the thing that white America knew was necessary, they knew it was necessary to destroy the Negro home because they feared the foundation of a solid black unity in the home that you could not contain the minds of black Americans, the strength of black Americans. You couldn't do it, so they feared that. And shortly thereafter, when Lincoln and them got through saying we're gonna free the slaves, we went into sharecropping. And they knew we didn't have anything as people. So they allowed us to stay on the same plantations that we had been on, that we had been whipped on, that we had all the negative memories. And they told us, if you stay up here, I'll give you 10% if you work these fields, work these crops, and you can stay in the same shack you used to. And then in 1930s, the U.S. government had a subsidy rather, that white women qualified for. And it was around $400 a month. But black women didn't qualify for it until 1960. In 1960, that welfare, as it's called today, black women were qualified for it for the first time. And 2 years later, they set the condition that you can have this funding, you can have this support, but you can't have a black man in the home with you. And if you do, we're going to cut your money source. And they began to build housing. And this housing that they built, they would allow a black woman who didn't have a job, who had 2, 3, 4, 5 kids to have a place to live. And you could stay there for $12 a month, and they will give you $400 in money. They'll give you access to food like milk, cheese, eggs, the bare essentials. Okay? And once they did this, they said, you can live here. We'll provide for you as long as you don't have a black man in the home with you. And they created an enforcement process by which they could come to your house anytime, day or night, to validate that you didn't have a man in your household. And then as we push forward into the 70s, they began to give black women jobs, not the same type of pay that they were giving white women or white men, but they were giving them enough money to make more than the black man. With the same mentality that you don't need them, we're going to make it so you don't need them. And each step of the way, you are being conditioned and reconditioned. Think about it. From the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and the 80s, you were being conditioned that you don't need a black man. So you begin to carry that mantra around with you. And as the black man didn't have a place to go, didn't have a place to stay, couldn't find a relationship, couldn't keep a relationship, had to deal with the troubles in the street and the troubles at home. We found ourselves, we had laws that would lock us up, they wouldn't lock the white man up for. All of these things were derived out of the fear of having a black household, having black unity. And you look at what we have today, a black man, and I'm just not saying that we're victims or that we didn't have something to do with it, because all of us have ability to change. And I'm not saying that black women haven't had it tough. But you were the resource and the tool that they were willing to use to keep the black household separated, because they made you make a choice. White women support their men. Latino women support their men. Asian women support their men. But overwhelmingly, in the black community, the black man is not supported at the same level. And I'm not crying about it. But every time you are asking someone who did make it to risk it all to prove himself to you, when you've been out here in these streets acting an absolute fool, when you done everything to tear him down, you turn him down worse than a white man could. Don't tell me that he's a man because he placated some foolishness or he took a moment to prove to her that I ain't what you think I am. Historically speaking, it is hard for a Negro male to have the same peace, to have the same success, to walk the same streets. When we do make it, we have to make it with other conditions, and it's not impossible. And there are a lot of strong, good black men doing good things. There are a lot of strong, good black women doing good things. The problem is it's not the majority. It's not 51% or more. Look, people, I done rod over my time. Let me go ahead and put what these other messages out here. So that's what Chris said, just made history, not in a good way. Absolutely. Rod said in the 60s and 70s is when the family dynamics was destroyed. My brother, absolutely. Johnny said true. Mary Wilson, glad that you have joined us. She said, whoever's tearing Chris down, that's stupid. I think him by not reacting after he got slapped on the world stage, shaking my head. I was hurt and shot. Shows you really don't know anyone like you think. Absolutely, Mary Wilson, and I'm glad that you joined us tonight. Rod said, that's why some women think they are better than some of our brothers. Absolutely, keep it moving. Rollins said, black man always got to overprove himself. Hey, that's a good line right there. Chris Rock was the real man in this mess. Absolutely, he was. And let me leave you all on this note. First of all, I want to thank all of you all who continue to come up here each and every week. And I'm glad that not only this, while this show bears my name as the Sinclair Show, it is your comments, it is your interaction that makes this show a success. You have an opinion, and that opinion is valuable. And we're going to continue to grow this. I've been blessed beyond measure. God has really rocked with me ever since I've been rocking with him. And I want you guys to take into consideration that you matter and your voice matter, so what you say matters. And just make sure that what you're putting your stamp of approval on publicly is what you want somebody to think. Go do your research. God requires us to study, to be knowledgeable, so that we don't make fools out of ourselves. I can't wait till next week. For those of you who wrote me stuff that didn't have anything to do with this, I apologize. We'll get into your letters next week, even if we got to do an hour-and-a-half show. Hey, that's the thing that God has blessed us with. We control the Sinclair TV network. We control this whole show. And for those who are out here wondering about partnerships, hey, I've gotten your letters. I've gotten your requests. I'm looking through. I can't partner with everybody, but I'm telling you, because I'm concerned about the brand, if what you're doing and what I'm doing fits, we can partner up, all right? If you got ideas, people, don't let your ideas be bottled up. Try anything that you believe can be a success and a voice for you or your people or your brand. I got nothing but love, people.
It's about that time, baby, baby.
Good night.
Oh, yeah. Here we go. Here we go.
The Sinclair Show is on.
It is on.
Run it if your friends come on.
Come on, come
So
on.
this is a moment of the show tonight. Mailbag is tight. Sinclair is on the mic.